What's happening, everybody? It's me, Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, a love story.
Summer loving had me a blast. Neheb and Kruphix happened so fast. Met a Maelstrom Wielder. Yeah. Crazy to me. What's up, everybody? It's episode 153 of the Commander's Brew podcast, and it is summer loving.
Oh, man. So it is the peak summer here in Toronto.
Oh, yeah. Apologies to anyone listening who can hear the fans that we have on, because we definitely have fans on us, both of us, Sean and I. But we certainly do need them, or else we would be that picture of a skeleton in front of a computer. That would just be us, for sure. Yeah. We would have been burnt up long ago.
Well, and metaphorically, we would also have burnt up on this if it weren't for the fans. You guys.
Yes. Yes, that's right. And also apologies if you can hear those fans somehow. Just talking.
Unless it's yourself. Like, I mean, if you can hear yourself talking, that's great.
That's good. That's normal.
You should be able to hear that.
You should be able to hear that, even with headphones on.
All the times you're going to yell at us for getting rules slightly wrong.
That's right, which will happen. Yeah, here we are. It's summertime, and there's a heat wave in Toronto, and there's also a heat wave for our latest deck.
Heat wave. Things are heating up. This is a love story deck, or it could be considered a secret commander's deck, however you want to come at this. But before we dig into it, I want to thank you for listening. Thanks for everyone for showing up. This is awesome. It means a lot to us. Keep an eye out for Battle of the Brews. We're going to start shooting it very soon, and then it's just a matter of time before we start releasing those things. But hold on tight. We haven't forgotten. And thank you to all our patrons on patreon.com, hanging out on the Discord. I can't wait to hear some of the ideas you have in there regarding this deck, some things you might want to do with it. Yeah, and of course, thank you to Ultimate Guard for the best sleeves and boxes in the biz, and to the Wizards Tower, wizardtower.com. Let's hear an ad from them now. Okay, quick question. Where is M19? Normally, we've been doing these ads and we do a joke about where the plane is and like what's going on. Where are corsets? Should we assume Dominaria? Where's Quende? Where's Yargle? Are they here? Who are these planeswalkers? I don't know where M19 is, so I don't know how to make jokes about it. I'll figure out how to make jokes. I'll have jokey ads, but like, how do I know where to put the pizza place that is in almost every block? Or the weird radio station that comes from? It's a couple of standard ad ideas I gotta use here. M19's not giving me much. Anyway, you know who does give a lot? The Wizards Tower. wizardtower.com. Great place to buy Magic singles, and if you spend $15 and you're in Canada, you get your shipping for free on singles. And you can use coupon code Summer of Brews to get an extra 5% off, and you'll get 3% kickback on your next order. That's reliable. Where this plane is, not so reliable.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I mean, do you have any... What's your gut on this? What do you think? What do you think is the answer here?
I say definitely yes.
Definitely. I mean, it's not really a yes. Like, are you saying yes? It's probably Dominaria.
I'm saying yeah. It's definitely Dominaria.
Definitely. 100%. I mean, it makes sense. Like corsets are. They're probably, they got to be somewhere. So Dominaria, I guess, is the default plane.
That's the default plane that Magic was started at. So I think it's probably also the go-to for corsets. Although definitely corsets show up on there's different planes as well. But I think Dominaria is the home.
Okay, I guess I'm just sorry we don't see a lot of legendaries on M19.
It is a bummer. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I wanted to talk about briefly was the Discord. I wanted to just mention that we like a lot of good ideas are coming out of the Discord, a lot of card ideas, so like it's actually a great way to contribute to the show creatively, as well as like obviously Patreon allows you to contribute financially, but like if you want to actually get like an opinion or a cool suggestion, like the best way is through our Discord, because we actually will go and bring ideas for decks to the Discord and see what kind of feedback they get. So if you're ever interested in that, the Patreon only Discord channel is a great place to go.
Totally. And can I tie that to Battle of the Brews? Because like a lot of the decks we do on the show, we'll chat about them in Discord, and people will often give us cards of like, oh man, this card was so good in that deck after they've like play tested them at their meta. And if I'm considering brewing it to play on Battle of the Brews, you can be sure I'm going to take some of those ideas and run with them.
Sweet. And big thanks to all the recent patrons we've had in the last week or two. A couple people jumping on there, so that's great. We'll be happy to see you in the old Discord. But let's get right into this. I mean, it's hot. Let's make it hotter with this hot deck.
Right.
And this is a love story, right?
I call it a love story. I have always dreamed about doing a deck that had Neheb the Eternal and Kruphix, God of Horizons. As we know, Neheb the Eternal is 3 red for a legendary zombie Minotaur warrior, the tiniest type line text in Magic's history.
Yeah.
Neheb is a 4/6 with a flick 3, so whenever you block Neheb, you take 3 damage, you lose 3 life, technically. And at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you add red to your mana pool for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. So you get extra mana in your second main phase with Neheb on the battlefield. And of course, Neheb wants to be paired with Kruphix, God of Horizons. 3 green-blue for a legendary enchantment creature that is a god. Kruphix is 4/7. Kruphix is indestructible, and as long as your devotion to green and blue is less than 7, it's not a creature. You also have no maximum hand size, which I always forget about. And if unused mana would empty from your mana pool, that mana becomes colorless instead. So Neheb nets you a ton of extra mana as damage is done, as life is lost. And then Kruphix keeps it around. It's not red anymore. Now it's just going to be colorless, but it will be in the mana pool. So they were meant to be, Andy. And when I was thinking about these two together, I thought, wouldn't it be perfect to be able to cast Wild Pair? So if you cast one of them, you got to find the other, but they're off by 1.
Ooh.
Neheb is a 4/6 and Kruphix is a 4/7. That burns so badly. Like it was so close to being a miracle, but it just wasn't.
It was almost written in the stars.
Oh man,
but not quite.
But you know what? All good love stories are, have a little bit of hardship in them, and that's, we're gonna have some hardship. So who's telling this story? Who's the narrator of the story? That's the commander of the deck.
Yeah.
Why don't you introduce our narrator?
The narrator, of course, is Yidris Maelstrom Wielder. This guy looks like he's more screaming the story. But yes, you know what? He's going to tell you the story. It'll be pretty loud and in your face, but it's going to be a good one. This is one of the 4-color legends from the Commander product from a couple years ago. We've got blue, black, red, and green, or as we call it, whiteless. Legendary Ogre Wizard with 5/4 with Trample. Whenever Yidris deals combat damage to a player, you can cast spells from your hand. As you cast spells from your hand this turn, they gain Cascade. And then Cascade means when you cast it, you exile cards from the top of your library until you hit a non-land card that costs less than the one you cast, and then you can cast it without paying its mana cost. Bam.
Yeah, so that mechanically, as far as the deck is concerned, this is helmed by Yidris, but most of what we have is built towards kind of getting our main 2 secret commanders, Kruphix and Neheb, out together. Neheb is great. Kruphix is great. They're even better together. I did not use a ton of slots on like Yidris Cascade spells, like spells that are like secretly cost a lot but cost a little to cascade. Well, I didn't engineer the mana curve entirely. I did make a kind of a one strategy with that, but we're going to be doing a fair bit of cascading anyway, but that is not the main strategy necessarily. Just putting that out there. Okay. But it's a bonus.
Okay, cool. And great. You added black as well, and I'm sure there's a reason for adding the color, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I started, I was brainstorming what to do. Should I make it Teamer? Should I do something else? And I think Yidris makes the most sense. And I think, yeah, I'll tell you why, and we'll discover why.
Okay, great. Okay, perfect.
It's not that I was looking for black cards specifically, but it's the Cascade ability and how that interacts.
Oh, really? It's the Cascade ability. See, I assumed it was just a black because black has tutors that you can go grab your secret commanders maybe.
Of course. I mean, I'm gonna not to spoiler alert it, but like if you want to do the non-budget version, just throw in a bunch of tutors and then tutor your things. But I built this without those straight black tutors. I did it that way.
Fascinating. Okay.
Okay, so the first category of cards, I think, actually, the more I played with it, with Cascade, the trouble is, if we're doing a bunch of Cascading, it sucks to not have 1-drops in the deck. You gotta have a few 1-drops. And this let's assume we want to dig for our commanders. If a card said Scry 2, and when I say commanders, I keep thinking, you mean Neheb and Kruphix. Yeah. So if we want to dig to those two, and something says Scry 2, you look at the top 2 cards, and if it's not those 2 things, you put them on the bottom, right? Mm-hmm. So how about Commune with Nature? It's 1 green for a sorcery. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom in any order. So if we hit Neheb or Kruphix, that's like... great, we've drawn them. And if we don't, we put them all on the bottom of the deck. That's like a Scry 5 to get closer to what we want. I mean, we'll probably hit another creature anyway, but it is a useful thing, and it's especially good on Cascade, because we will hit this if we cast any 2-drop if we don't hit our Sol Ring.
Do you put this stuff back on back on the bottom in any order? In a
this
random
card is
order? Okay. No,
Cascade is in random, but Commune is any order.
No, yeah, okay. So Commune, so the Cascade thing, so all the stuff that you don't hit with the Cascade trigger goes on the bottom in a random order, right?
Yes.
So you could you could end up whiffing past the 2 Kruphix and Neheb and putting them on the bottom. I mean, but that's just possible with anything that you cast with Yidris out, I guess, right?
Yes, it's true. And like if I was being super technical, like we do have the occasional shuffle effect. Like I have some ramp spells that shuffle, which also ruin all the work you've done on Scry. But I like to think that they help put Neheb and Kruphix closer to the top, maybe if you've ended up putting on the bottom from an unlucky Cascade.
Right on, okay. Cool.
Yeah. Great. So why don't you take the next one? It's another card to do something similar.
Yeah, this one's great. This one, Forbidden Alchemy. It's 2 and a blue for an instant. It has flashback for 6 and a black, so 7. But the spell originally, it's an instant. You look at the top 4 cards of your library and put 1 of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. So yeah, it just digs you 4 down. You get to do it twice, which is nice. Even more twice is even more nice. Yeah, Forbidden Alchemy. Just a good one to dig. It's like a Dig Through Time light, but it just costs more, and you get to do it twice.
Right, and the flashback is very reasonable once we've got Kruphix out, or Neheb for that matter. If we've just got a bunch of extra mana in our mana pool, we can afford that flashback quite simply. And then this is a fantastic mana sink for any deck that with green that has secret commanders in it. Duskwatch Recruiter, 1 and a green for a human warrior werewolf that is 2/2, and it says 2 and a green. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom in any order. And of course, it's got the werewolf text, which we know in Commander werewolves don't transform very often, and if they do, they often don't stay transformed. If it does transform, it's just a 3/3 that makes creatures cost 1 less. But I would rather it didn't flip, and fortunately, in Commander, they don't flip very often anyway, so we will usually have this as our mana sink and a way to just dig through so many cards. Like, if you have Kruphix or like just if you have a ton of mana, one of them helps find the other one. It's really neat that this is sort of like the best friend of the story. That this is like the main character's best friend, because once one is on the battlefield, you can trigger this many times and have an easier time to find the other partner.
You mentioned Romeo and Juliet in the notes.
Yes,
you referenced it. I can't remember if you actually referenced it yet on the show.
But I'm not sure. The little photoshopped image in the intro is I put their heads over a Romeo and Juliet image.
Oh, great!
Any romantic comedy will do.
So, oddly enough, isn't Romeo's like best friend in Romeo and Juliet named Tybalt?
Whoa! I thought it was Mercutio. Who's Mercutio?
I don't remember. I'm trying to remember back to my like high school English classes reading Romeo and Juliet.
Tybalt is Juliet's cousin.
Tybalt is Juliet's cousin, right?
Yeah, Mercutio is Romeo's pal.
And Mercutio is Romeo's buddy. Okay.
Tybalt killed Mercutio.
That's why I'm thinking of that. Okay, so Tybalt's the one that kills Mercutio, right? Anyways, so Tybalt is not the cool dude, but also a bad planeswalker that we're not going to include in this deck, so it doesn't even matter.
Cool.
But that's neat. Anyways.
Yeah, this is sort of like the story Mercutio.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Cool. Okay, great. So there are some things in here that are kind of meant to help with the cascading, though. Am I right?
Yes. That's the next category of cards. Cards that I did put in because we have some cascading that I may not have chosen otherwise.
Of course. So the first one here is Cut to Ribbons. Cut is, of course, the 1 in a red sorcery that says cut deals 4 damage to target creature. And Ribbons is the aftermath, other half of it, for X black that says each opponent loses X life. So it technically counts as a 4 CMC spell, unless you're just casting Ribbons, right?
When it is anywhere but the stack, the CMC is the 2 sides added together.
When it is anywhere but the stack. So doesn't Yidris only care about it when it's on the stack anyways?
Unless you're cascading into it.
Right, of course. Yes. Okay, so you're talking about cascading into, but also this is actually a decent one to just cascade because it'll be a big one if you casted Ribbons and you cast you made X 10 or something. Like you're just going to hit the next spell, right? Like
oh, sure. And then the idea is that's a finisher anyway. Like if we can have like 40 mana in our mana pool, then we can probably Ribbons everyone to death.
Of course. With 40, I bet you could. But if you had Ribbons just enough to kill one opponent or 2 or something, and you're like, okay, well,
someone's got a lot of life.
Yeah, I think I can work on this guy after that. Like that might be something to think about.
Well, and it's definitely you would Ribbons in your first main phase if you had Neheb out, because you're going to get all that life back as mana for your second main. So if you've got something else to do, this is an excellent card. But it's just a neat one that because normally you can't cascade. I mean, we'll talk about it in a second, but having X spells in a cascade deck is tough because if you cascade into an X spell, you don't get to X is going to equal 0 if you cast it. Whereas Cut, if you cascade into this, you get to do something for 4 mana. Yeah. You get to do 4 damage to target creature, and now what you want is in the graveyard where it belongs. Yep. So this is especially good in a cascade. This is
a really good way to get around that. This is this would even go just good in a normal Yidris deck.
I think so.
Yeah, that's interesting because it's that X spell, but you don't get hit as hard if you cascade into it. It doesn't do stone nothing, right?
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
Definitely.
Neat. I like that discovery.
And so then let's talk about that. I used some clue stones instead of signets. So I'll talk about the Izzet clue stone, but they're all the same. 3 mana for an artifact, and then adds the 2 colors of its guild. And you can pay the 2 colors and tap it. So in this case, red and blue and tap. Sacrifice Izzet clue stone, draw a card. You end up you have a fair number of mana rocks in this deck that are at 3 mana and a couple of 1s and 2s. But mostly I tried to keep it. If I ever wanted a signet, I actually put the clue stone in. That also made the budget cheaper anyway, because it would. Nobody wants clue stones.
No.
But the reason being is that I'd rather cast a 3 and cascade into a 2, one of my 2s, because you can run out of 1s. There's not a ton of 1s, so if once you run out of 1s, it sucks to cast a signet. You're like, well, this is kind of wasted value. But we end up cascading into mana rocks frequently, or ramp spells. So this is a great way to turn future ramp into card draw. We won't need a signet after too far into the game because we generate gobs of mana, right? That's the whole point. Right. Kruphix and Neheb together, we don't need 1 extra signet. So this clue stone gets to turn into a card draw, which is far better that way.
That's nice, yeah. Mm-hmm. Now what happens when you get these guys together?
Well, when they get together, sparks fly. When we finally, our 2 lovers are together, the first one I want to talk about. And so here's where, I'm going to take a quick pause in the story and just highlight that, this is where the brewers at home are going to take their turn. So this is, so far the tools I've talked about are good basics for this deck, but here's where you get to really express yourself and the kind of love story that you want to tell, right? Because what you do with that mana is up to you and your budget once you get the 2 rolling. So how about, I like Commune with Lava. It's X red for an instant. Exile the top X cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. So once we're basically ready to go, we can, on our opponent's last end step, we can just exile. We don't have to spend our whole mana pool. We can just spend 15 of it, 20 of it, and just see a whole bunch of cards to use on our next turn and to hopefully find what we need to just totally go off.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's a neat. I mean, this card was always interesting, even from just from the moment we saw it. Essentially, right? Like, yeah, you end step, instant speed, commune with lava, and that gives you like a huge hand for the next turn, essentially.
Yes, but without huge amounts of mana, it's not that useful.
It's tough, exactly. Yeah, it's really tough to get around. So especially, not only do you have all this colorless mana with Kruphix, but if you have Neheb as well, you're going to get that red mana, so that's going to help you do the commune at first. Even like the thing about this is like you don't need a ton of lands on the battlefield before you're actually generating and having in your mana pool so much mana.
Right.
Like even just that extra 1 or 2 at the end of turns, or anything created with Neheb that you're not using, that goes into the Kruphix bank.
Kruphix bank,
that just goes right in. You make a deposit into Kruphix's, the trust of Kruphix, and then you just saves it up. So you could only have 6 lands or something, but then be able to still cast a commune with lava that's huge, and then still generate a bunch of mana after it, if with like a big attack with Neheb or something. So that's really good. I like that a lot.
I think you stumbled upon the perfect flavor for the deck, where Kruphix, it works as a banker, 9 to 5, not a lot of creativity. Neheb is a wild minotaur who probably does body painting for a job. They don't seem like they would go together, but they end up falling for each other.
They meet at the bank when Neheb is on down on his luck a bit.
Maybe Neheb needs to take out a loan to fix its mirage mirror.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it needs to open up, it needs to save the business, the failing business of the mirage mirror.
Yeah,
he gets people to come look at it and pay for it, but no, and then gets denied the bank loan. But Kruphix sees him and goes, "Hey, I can help you out." And they start working together on the project, and then they fall in love.
Yeah, of course.
The meet cute is at the bank while Neheb is yelling at the loans guy.
Yeah.
I'm a zombie minotaur warrior. I'm eternalized. Do you understand me?
Look at my sparkly skin.
I have sparkly skin. Give me that money. I need that money.
And then, Kruphix also has sparkly skin, so they kind of have that in common. Yep. This is a great story.
This is really good. This is what the Magic movie should be.
Yeah, right? Yeah, forget Planeswalkers.
Yeah, who cares?
Kruphix and Neheb.
2 different planes, nothing to do with each other. It's great.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate underdog comedy. Romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Okay, next. Okay, what are we going to do with all this? What you going to do with all this mana? Well, why not a Cat Blitz? This is like, we've featured this on the show more than you think we would. Cat Blitz is really cool because it's X red for a sorcery that says put X/1/1 red cat creature tokens with haste into play, and then you remove them from the game at end of turn. So you exile them afterwards. And it's at the beginning of the next end step, although I guess that doesn't really make a difference. It's a sorcery. Anyways, it also has flashback, though, for you to sacrifice X mountains. Obviously the original intent of this was just to, finish the game off with a bunch of cats, and if you can't quite finish them off, then guess what? You just sack all your lands from your obviously mono red deck you played during Judgment, and then run them over. But here, a million Kruphix banked mana turns into a million red cats. Right,
and so and then this is because we don't run white. We don't get access to what one makes. It's an instant that makes warriors, X warriors.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Secure the Waste.
Secure the Waste. Yeah, I knew it was something waste.
So there is a red X spell called Tempt with something, but it's out of budget. and it makes hasty elementals and someone else gets them too. But I like Fire Cat Blitz as a budget option because we don't need the flashback. The flashback's useless because we'll only ever have like 2 mountains on the battlefield.
Deck. Yeah, you're lucky if you even have 2 actual mountains, probably.
Right. So it doesn't matter for that part, but again, with the Neheb Kruphix combo, we can cast this on our first main, and they have haste, so we get to attack with them, and then we're all that damage that we've done. If we've killed 1 player, that's great. That man is going to come back to us for our second main for hopefully a bigger ribbons or something else. This is one thing that Neheb does pretty well.
Yeah, it's basically a fireball, but they can block some of it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Another one is for a recent card from Dominaria, Garna the Bloodflame. 3 black, red. For a legendary human warrior, it's a 3/3 with flash, and it says when Garna the Bloodflame enters the battlefield, return to your hand all creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere this turn. Other creatures you control have haste. So not only does this give a bunch of your creatures haste, anything that just died in a big attack or something like that, you're going to get to flash in Garna, get those cards back, and then probably cast them out again if you've got a bunch of mana left over from Kruphix and Neheb.
Yeah, I think Garna is... I'm not sure if Garna knows Neheb or Kruphix, but Garna's like a relative, like a brother or a sister, to like save them if they accidentally get killed in a battle or something. Like we've got Garna to flash in to make sure that they don't.
She somehow is like I feel like she's no, I was gonna say Neheb's boss, but Neheb works at his own business. She's Kruphix's boss, who like the wedding wasn't gonna happen or something. Like the event that they were gonna go to get together wasn't about to happen, and then Garna swoops in and saves it last minute.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe she was being a jerk a little bit earlier in the movie, and now she turns out to be she's okay because she cares.
Right. Yeah, she has a heart of gold in the end.
Exactly.
So Garna, like if in terms of game terms, we only need to hold up 1 black and 1 red land, and if we have a ton of colorless mana in our mana pool and something happens to Kruphix, we can use before the phases change. Like once Kruphix goes to the graveyard, but before the phases change and the mana pool empties, we can cast Garna. We unfortunately won't be able to.
You mean Neheb, right?
No, I mean Garna.
No, you mean Neheb. If anything happens to Neheb, I mean.
Or Kruphix. Either way,
because Kruphix can't really go to the graveyard, though.
That's true. So this would be if like there's an Exile effect and we end up sacking Kruphix.
Sure. Okay.
So yeah, but it's just there as protection from our main 2 heroes.
Right. Great.
And then one other fun one that I think in the deck is nice for just to have in there is it's not a very romantic comedy card, but it's Killing Wave. It's X black. Sorcery. For each creature, its controller sacrifices it unless he or she pays X life. So thematically, this is kind of neat if you're thinking back to Romeo and Juliet, because we can do the math to be like, I only want to keep 2 creatures. So what is the most life I can put into this so I can keep 2 creatures? And hopefully, if you can back this up with the ribbons, nobody will be able to pay more than you, so they will probably have to sacrifice more creatures than you will.
Right. Yeah. Killing Wave is a neat one. It puts, especially if you've been hitting their life totals, it really puts them in a tough spot. Especially if you have a board presence of a bunch of creatures, that's when it gets really freaky, right? How is this better than, say, like a one-sided board wipe, like an Ingarrick's Wake or something, which is like 7 or 8 mana or something like that, which is a one-sided board wipe, kills all your opponent's creatures, destroys them all. Is this better because you can sort of pop this off earlier with like 5 or 6 mana, and never they got to pay 5 life to keep a creature? Like that's a lot. Like that's not. And sure, maybe they'll keep 1, maybe 2 of their creatures, but they'll probably just end up sacrificing all the other ones.
Well, I think this also works nicely with Neheb. We're planning on keeping Neheb, so if our opponents are desperate to keep 1 or 2 creatures, they will have to lose life to keep them, and that mana comes back to us with Neheb if they do so.
Yes, you definitely need to have the thing in your hand that you want to play, of course, but Yeah, Killing Wave. I mean, I like this card. I think it's really neat.
Well, and then let's keep in mind, so, okay, we're going to get, I've kind of been slow rolling one of the cool things I figured out about this deck. So this is a CMC 1. So there's a very good chance that we're going to hit this, and then we'll have the option to cast it or not. And if we cast it, X equals 0, which is unfortunate.
Right.
And if we do that, it just goes to the graveyard, having no effect on the game.
Right.
To be continued.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. Or is it?
Or is it? Okay.
Great. So let's talk about a new Commander's Brew favorite category, neat moves.
Yeah, what are the neat moves?
Okay, so again, I've said this a bunch of times. Cascading into an X spell sucks, but not if it's Devil's Play.
Right.
Red X, sorcery. Devil's Play deals X damage to target creature or player, but also flashback for X red, red, red. So if we cascade into this, we're going to cast it for X equals 0, and then we're going to flash it back for red, 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 and all of the insane amount of mana we have, and probably kill a player with it, and then maybe even get that mana back. Well, okay, so if we're talking about cascading, right, we have to be careful because it will be past our combat step if we're cascading, because Yidris attacks to cascade, but then we go to our second main, so Neheb's trigger has already happened at that point. So if we cascade into Devil's Play, we don't get to do it the same turn, because if we've cascaded, it is by definition our second main phase, our post-combat main phase. So it's too late for the Neheb trigger. But if you cascade into an earlier Devil's Play, then on a later turn, we'll be able to flash it back for crazy mana.
Right. Right. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Next we have Guiteau Chronicler. This is a good one. This is a recent inclusion from Dominaria, of course. If you're playing limited, you recognize this one. Guiteau Chronicler is 1 in a red for a 1/3 that has kicker 3 in a red. So for in total, if you want to kick it, it's 6 mana. It's 4 and 2 red. When Guiteau Chronicler enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. That's why it's good to bin those 1 mana X spells early in the game. It's fine.
Right, because we can use Guiteau Chronicler. And also, this is how the rules work. Whenever you're casting a spell without paying its mana cost, you get to pay additional costs. If you have to pay an additional cost, you have to pay it. And if it's an optional additional cost, like a kicker, we get to pay 3 in a red to take an instant or sorcery back, even if we cascade into this little guy.
So if you played like a Clue Stone and you hit Guiteau Chronicler and you've got a Killing Wave in your graveyard, you can kick the Guiteau Chronicler for free. Right? Like if you cascade into it for 3, you hit Guiteau Chronicler, so you cast it for free.
You cast the 1 in a red part for free.
Yeah.
And then it's up to you to pay the extra 3 in a red.
So you still have to pay that extra kicker cost, but you don't get that for free.
No, that part isn't free.
Oh, okay.
But if you have some in your mana pool, then you can loop into it.
Oh, great. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Sweet. Well, there you go. Chronicler it up.
You want the next neat move?
Yeah, what's the next neat move?
It's Flood of Recollection. It's just a 2 mana sorcery to return target instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand, and you exile this card. But again, this isn't to mitigate all those X spells going to the graveyard, which actually works in our favor. So when we look at the big picture, Yidris and all the cascading has been kind of planting the seeds of the end of our story early on. It's like foreshadowing in a movie. So Killing Wave shows up and it's like, oh, it didn't happen. Nothing happened. It's just foreshadowing. But eventually we're going to get one of these Guiteau Chroniclers, Flood of Recollection. I mean, we're not going to talk about it, but I have Archaeomancer in there too. So ways to cascade into things to get our spells back out of the graveyard that we've cascaded away. And as we know, right, the graveyard is an extension of your hand a lot of times if you build it right.
Yeah, if that's the way you're doing it, it can certainly become that. Well, there you go. Wow, that's a full story.
And the happy ending is if everyone else is dead.
The happy ending is if you kill all your friends.
Right.
Wow. Well, that's great. Well, what are the 3 stars of this deck? What are the stars of the story other than our main characters, obviously?
Ooh, we've got the wise sort of like person. Maybe Neheb knows this character who gives Neheb advice that Neheb doesn't listen to at first, but eventually comes around on. That's Kefnet the Mindful, 2 and a blue, for a legendary god who is 5/5, flying indestructible. Can't attack or block unless you have 7 or more cards in hand. And it's got a mana sink right on it, 3 and a blue, draw a card, then you may return a land you control to its owner's hand. Kruphix means we don't have a maximum hand size, so once we get to 7, we're just going to keep it up there, no problem.
Right, easy.
And it's only a 3 mana spell, so cascading into it is pretty easy.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I feel like this is like a grandfather or a grandmother type character.
Yes.
In here. That's what she would say. Good addition by Sarah there. Number 2 star of the deck is Profane Command. X black for the sorcery that says choose 2. Target player loses X life. Return target creature card with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Target creature gets -X until end of turn, or up to X target creatures gain fear until end of turn. So
this is a useful, because just for the modality of it,
sure.
right? So target player losing X life, that's a win con.
Mm-hmm.
Returning a creature card to the battlefield, that's a way to get back one of our heroes if they end up there by accident.
Mm-hmm.
Target creature gets -X is probably the one we'll use the least, I imagine, in the end game. I mean, maybe we'll need to do it early, but it's nice to have it. And up to X target creatures gaining fear is useful if we're planning on making a big Neheb swing. We can give all our creatures fear and get a lot of damage in to lower that life total and get a lot of mana back.
Right on. And the number 1 star of the deck.
It's Wildest Dreams.
Why, nice. Wildest Dreams.
So this one's tricky. This one's trickier. So you have to be careful because it's XX green sorcery. Return X target cards from your graveyard to your hand, but you exile Wildest Dreams. So we don't get to cascade into it and cast it for X equals 0 because then it will be exiled. So we don't want to do that. But if we ever end up just finding it the hard way or something like that, we have to do a little bit of extra work for it. But being able to get back that many cards, like you basically, once you have tons and tons of mana, you can get back as many cards as you want from the graveyard, just all the ones you need to make your plan happen, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's good to note that because Kruphix is indestructible and probably won't end up being a creature ever in this deck, that it's going to be pretty safe, right? Like
probably.
So being able to bank this mana, it's not as wild as it sounds to have to be able to do that, because there's a lot of stuff in here built to get Kruphix. So once you get Kruphix going, a lot of this stuff is just going to be doing exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, great. Well, there you go. 3 stars of the deck. And no surprises, no discoveries here.
Just sort of the mechanics of like thinking about all those little green spells that let you. The discovery, I'll use the phrase, look at the top 4 or 5 or 3 cards of your library. That's a useful search term that I never used before when you're building a secret commander kind of deck. Green is good at that. Blue is good at that. Anyway, you can just, it's kind of like a one-time big scry. If the purpose is to dig anyway, then those are going to be useful cards.
Sure. Okay, perfect. Well, before we get to the old budget report, we're going to take a quick peek at Wizard Tower, wizardtower.com, the Wizard's Tower. Back again. Of course, go there. Check out their collection of singles and sealed product. You can get it all there. Use our coupon code, of course. Summer of Brews. Get 5% off orders of $15 or more. And they'll ship it right to you for free in Canada and for only a little bit if you're in the States. You can already pre-order that Core 19 and get a signature spellbook, Jace.
Ooh.
We haven't talked about that at all, have we? Signature spellbook?
The spellbook we haven't.
Well, yeah.
What do you think about it?
It looks like it's apparently replacing the from the Vault series, the signature spellbooks.
Okay.
And they're only like their MSRP. I think they're like $20 or $30. So it's like. It's not like from the Vault, which I think MSRP'd for like 50 or 60 and then always sold for like over 100. So this will sell for more, but there's a chance that it won't at some places because I don't think it's a limited run. But anyways, for people who like to trick out their decks and, whether it's cubes or your commander decks, possibly. There's a lot of nice new art in there. There's
it's gorgeous.
The borders on the cards I think are really nice. Actually, the mana symbols are like white, and because every spell's blue and the borders are blue and everything. Like I actually really like the look of them. Some of the art is like, there's some of the Jace art where I'm just like, this looks like a little boy is sitting there in this card, and like it just looks weird to me. But a lot of it also looks really cool. Anyways,
yeah, I mean, this if you like to trick your stuff out, this is a good set for it.
Yeah, it's a decent set, and like, there's a couple of cards where I'm like, man, that's not a commander card. Like, why do they put tendrils of, or not tendrils? The card that like, is it tendrils something? There's the one card where it like lets you take control of something with three CMC or less, or like 4 power or less, or something like that. It's like,
I don't know it.
It's like a control magic, but it's only for small things, basically. Can't remember the name of it. But anyways, I'm like, why reprint that card? Why put any other decent blue card in there? Like that, and it doesn't have to be some expensive card, don't get me wrong, but like, why that one card? Is that card played in anything?
I don't know.
Why not just put control magic in there? Like that's just better. That's strictly
I'm having a hard time finding what's in it. Deck list?
Oh, it used to be on Scryfall. You could just select it. But anyways, I don't know.
I finally found it.
Yeah. What card am I talking about there?
Threads of Disloyalty.
Thank you. That's the one.
Enchant creature with mana cost 2 or less. You control it.
Yeah, Threads of Disloyalty.
Is that it? There's 9 cards in it. That's all it is.
I think it's 10. Or wait, so it's 9 and a random foil of one of those cards. So you'll get 2 copies of one of them. One's a foil and one's not. And then the rest you'll get
Gifts Ungiven, Mystical Tutor. Yeah, these are really cool cards.
Yeah, there's some cool cards. And like I think the most expensive one is like the foil Brainstorm or something.
Oh yeah.
Like if you get the foil Brainstorm, you won the lottery a little bit. So
Legacy.
Yeah, it'll go, whatever. I don't know what it's selling for. I actually haven't looked, but anyways, you can
find
that at wizardtower.com.
Putting a touch of random in it is a great idea for
Yeah. I like that too.
Purpose.
I actually like the idea. I like the idea that the foils will pop up and add that randomness to it. I think that's cool.
Cool.
All right. Well, I guess now it is time for the budget report. Budget report. Budget report. Turns out that if you let the beeping noise from any of the previous episodes play for that long, it's a song, and they do start saying budget report.
Oh, they do. The people that made that
yeah,
song.
Exactly. It turns out this is the first episode we've ever let it go that long.
Yeah, right? We just decided to let you behind the scenes.
There you go.
This is the part of the show where we talk about all the cards and whether or not money can buy love, or whether or not it is what was inside the cards the whole time.
The heart of the cards, as they say.
The heart of the cards? Yeah. So this deck came in fairly cheap, $45.80. As I mentioned, I did some already budget upgrades, or downgrades, I guess you could call it, going to the clue stones, finding cheaper spells to do that had X's in them, because the top 3 most expensive cards are the main players of our story. Kruphix is almost $8. Yidris is about $5, and Neheb is about $4. Mm-hmm. That's the 3 most expensive cards. Everything else is cheaper than that.
Oh, wow, yeah. They're back again. They're there.
And then if we're going to talk about out-of-budget cards, we get to the sequel of the deck, where a new mistress appears that threatens to break up the couple, and that is Omnath Locus of Mana, 2 and a green for an elemental. Green mana doesn't empty from your mana pool as steps and phases end. Oh, the Oracle text on that now is you don't lose unspent green mana as steps and phases end.
Interesting.
They don't say mana pool anymore.
Yeah, isn't that a thing where they've stopped now referring to the mana pool?
Yeah.
That's like a new rule that kind of happened recently, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you think about it, it's just confusing for newer players.
Yeah, adding mana to the mana pool. Anyways.
And then taking it out of the pool to spend on things. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Omnath is another way to keep mana going around, which is something we would love to do. Green mana doesn't empty, so we get to hold on to it with green. And if we were, Neheb and Omnath do work together. Sorry, Omnath and Kruphix work very well together. Neheb and Omnath don't work that well together. Neheb is jealous.
Yeah, Omnath. I'd say this is kind of arguably, this might not even be that good. I mean, obviously it is good, like but it's not as good as Neheb, and it's not as good as Kruphix, right? Like,
no, this is why this is just the mistress of the story.
Yeah, for sure. Like you might be able to throw 2, maybe even 3 green mana into the pool at a time, but like that's kind of it. And then that's if you don't need to spend the green mana on something that turn. Anyways,
yeah, and that's a $15 card right now.
Right, and then of course another mana sink here rather is Thrasios. Triton Hero would be good.
I mean, with the budget right now, Thrasios is almost $5. As you know, Thrasios is just green and blue for 1/3 Merfolk Wizard Legendary, so we can cascade into Thrasios very easily, and Thrasios is the best mana sink that the game has, in my opinion. It's 4 generic for a Scry 1, which we already like. Then you reveal the top card. If it's land, it goes right into the battlefield, tapped, and if it isn't, you draw it. So it's a fantastic mana sink.
Yeah.
It's one more mana than Kefnet, but you also ramp sometimes.
Yeah, it's very good.
And you scry. So I mean, we could squeeze it in, and then it'll be like just over $50.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I actually think, I think that would be worth it. Like if you're looking to build a deck like this and you're not so worried about hitting the exact $50 like we've arbitrarily set for ourselves for this podcast, I would definitely want to include Thrasios for sure.
And I want to use this moment to tie that into so this is there's the idea for the deck. There's some non-budget upgrades. Obviously, you have your own wild ideas of what you'd love to do with a massive amount of mana in your new non-existent mana pool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let us know. Like, hit us up on Twitter or, I don't know, Discord if you're in there. Like, what kinds of stuff would you do? I've just kind of highlighted some of the X's or big mana spells that I would like to run.
It's very obvious that you made this deck. There's so many X spells in it.
Not too many though. I really held back on that.
Oh, really?
I tried to. Yeah.
There are quite a few featured on the show, at least.
Well, I mean, but out of the ones we featured, there aren't a ton more than that.
And it's very interesting that you would even include them anyways, just because like they're traditionally bad in a Yidris deck, right? Like
traditionally they're very bad, but I think I found a fun way to make them good again.
Yeah, I think you definitely did. Absolutely. But I love that. I love that your personal like version of like your preferences came into play big time, and we can see it because it's supposed to not be that way, but you've actually made it work in a way that's lots of fun and does what you want it to do. It's great. It's the beauty of, honestly, I mean, we could say this every single episode, but it is the beauty of Commander and the beauty of Magic in general that you get to do that. It's really cool.
Agreed.
Sweet. Well, that's the deck, everyone. This was lots of fun. Love this one. Anytime we're throwing around huge spells, X colorless coming out of the Kruphix bank, I'm always pretty happy about that sort of thing. So
the Bank of Kruphix.
Bank of Kruphix making a big withdrawal, making some big deposits.
Yeah.
This is a lot of fun. So yeah, good one. We'll have a Brews News coming up, but that's it for this week.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. See ya. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Brews News. I'm Andy.
And I'm Sean.
This week, we have Andy's travel blog at the Luxury Suite. Thanks, Andy and Sean. Here on Andy's travel blog today, we've come to the Luxury Suite. And we're here with a very special vampire. Why don't you tell everyone your name?
Hi, I am Le Donkey. Welcome to my luxury suite. I've showered it with nothing but the most luxurious of things.
Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful place. Ledonke, why don't you let us know? Like, when did you open up the suites? How long have you been like an owner here?
Well, I was just going around eating the blood of everyone who was already here, and then when it was empty, I just stuck around and thought to myself, I could do this. This could be my thing.
Well, here on the Battle Bond plane, how much can a traveler, a planeswalker perhaps, expect to spend to come and stay at the luxury suites?
Well, it's called Luxury Suite, so you can expect it costs a lot of whatever people use as money. It depends who's coming by. We accept all forms of currencies.
Great. Now, there's a bit of controversy surrounding this suite. There's been a couple of reviews on TripAdvisor that have been saying it's messy. They're finding limbs and things like that, sort of just strewn around. What do you have to say to that?
I say, try and find those people and ask them now. Try and find them, and then if you can find them and bring them here and get them to say what they said in those reviews, I'll refund their money.
Oh, okay. So are you saying you're gonna? I mean, you already did.
Already killed them.
Killed them all. Okay.
Drank their blood. You must be thirsty. What a horrible host I'm being. One moment.
So what? During my stay here at the luxury suite, things have been really great. The walls do whisper at you, yeah, I should have mentioned that all the drinks are just
Cheers.
blood. All the drinks are blood.
To being on your travel blog and promoting my luxury suite.
What kind of? Is that how you drink everything?
Powerful suction.
You don't need to suck. You can just pour it in.
You drink how you drink. I'll drink how I'll drink.
I'll show you how I drink, like this. Well, first of all, what kind of blood is this? Whose blood is this?
More like, what's blood is this?
What? Well, when in whatever this plane's called.
When in a luxury suite.
Sure.
Oh, feel that tastes like you're eating pennies.
But did you see that? Like no noise?
Oh, I didn't see no noise.
You can I didn't make a gross slurping noise when I did
let me try.
There's no reason for that. What were you trying to say when you were drinking there?
I'm trying to say it's delicious.
You said bo 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 bo.
That's how I say it. I understand many languages.
Fair enough.
I was speaking in ogre.
You're a plainly being. Well, Ledonke, what do you have to say to everyone who's thinking about maybe coming and staying at the luxury suite in the future?
Come to Luxury Suite directly. Don't book through Expedia or Hotels.com. They rip you off. And then you just call me. I'll give you a better deal. I'll price match.
Okay, well, you heard it here. Ledonke is going to price match with you. Am I saying that right? Ledonke?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I was drinking.
Yeah, it's actually not bad. I mean, Ledonke seems like a good host, but if you have any issues with monsters or blood, I might recommend against staying there.
It's very luxurious, though.
Oh, yeah. There's gold everywhere. Anyways, that does it for us this week. We are all tapped out. We'll pass the turn to you.
Good night.
Can you tell everyone your name and what's going on here at the suite?
My name is Ledonke, and...
No. So here on the plane of
Battle Bond?
it has a name. It's like Kairev or something.
Cairo?
If you want to contact us, I'm at Sean Tabaris.
And I'm at Andy Holbone.
Send us an email at commandersbrew@gmail.com.
You can find out when we go live on Twitch if you follow us at twitch.tv.
And if you care to support us on Patreon, check us out at patreon.com.
And you can find our deck list on tappedout.net.
And if we forgot anything, commandersbrew.com.